Okay, now dealing with shading is a little tricky because you're using a wider, flatter graver. The one that I was doing, the work before was about maybe half or 3/4 the size of this. And the reason you want a wider one is because you're going to create a little bit of difference in the pattern, so it looks visually more dense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find areas that really want to have just that little bit of depth added. And typically it's going to be areas like this at the ends of flowers where you might see a little bit of a turn and you'll see some shading. So the thing to do is to sink the graver on the very edge of the line and very gently follow the line with the wider graver like that, and bring it around like so. And notice how that adds just a little bit of depth on the end of the leaf there. I'm going to do the same thing right here. And so you notice how when you look at the pattern now, that really stands out. You can really see that. And as you fill out more of these little leaves, like so, it really makes the spiral pattern come out. You can really see the curve. In areas like this where you have two, you want to make sure that when you bring the shading around that you don't go just straight across. You want to make sure that there's a little bit of depth. And how you do that is when you're coming around, you actually pull the graver sideways as you're shading, like so. You see how that brought a nice little round corner there. Like that. So it doesn't look like an M shape, it just looks like two leaves. Okay. So you just continue like that. And I like to break up the work, so part of the time I'll do this, and then I'll take a section and I'll just shade it. Kind of helps break up the monotony, because sometimes when you're doing lots and lots and lots of small work like that, it can just drive you crazy. So there's one other type of shading I'm going to go into in just a second here, and that is line shading. Okay, the last kind of shading we're going to go into deals with this, which is an onglet engraver. An onglet's kind of a curved on both sides, comes to a point. It's very, very sharp. There's really two ways to do this. Now, jewelry engravers, they will work on a vise, and they'll take whatever they're working on, they'll hold the graver basically steady and then twist whatever they're working against it like that. And the reason that they do that is that you're not actually applying force necessarily straightforward. You're having force applied against the graver. Now obviously doing that kind of small movement on a saxophone is pretty difficult. There's no real way to use a vise on this. So what I've done is I've sharpened the tip on this such that I can actually pull it backwards to create the same exact kind of line. It leaves a little trough behind it. And then if I want to widen out the line, then I can go back and actually push forward and do that. So what this does is it definitely gives a nice texture to the leaves and lines. So what I'm going to do is keep it straight. What you want to do is start at the end of your line and work your way backwards, like follows. Sink, just really gently pull back. Actually not gently, I'm applying quite a bit of force. Like that. You see a nice bright line appearing in the brass? And those go right next to each other. That is one of the most important things, is to keep lines close and similarly spaced. Don't know if you can see that or not, but basically this is the area where I just shaded. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here as well. Like so. And right here, and bring it on. Now you notice that I basically am applying pressure with my forefinger and using my ring finger as a base. And the reason I do that is because if you don't have anything to push against, Actually, it's easy to slip, even backwards. Just like that. And this is how it was done in the 20s and the 30s and even before that. And the same technique is used to do all the pictorial patterns on artist model horns.